Welcome back to another episode of Homefront Harmony. I'm your host, Stevie Dahl, and I am so very, very excited for today's guest. Today's guest, Master Sergeant Angela Bento, who just transitioned out of her military service yesterday.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yes, yesterday was my last day of orders ever. Yes.
Thank you for your service, my friend.
Thanks.
It was more than 20 years?
Yes, it was a little over with the delayed enlistment program and add some time.
Okay.
I joined when I was 17 in high school.
Okay.
And left 2 weeks after graduation.
Okay, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. I am a mom of two. I always start there now because that's how I identify now. Especially, which is weird, talking about transitioning out. It was always identified as, oh, I'm in the military. This is what's going on.
Yeah,
but now
yeah.
It is. I'm a mom. That's the new title, you know?
There it is.
Yeah, so I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And married to another military member as well. Been in the military.
Wait a minute, we're double dipping.
Yeah.
She's a veteran and she's a military spouse.
I am.
I love it.
I'm actually, it's so funny. I'm the key support liaison for one of the squadrons, actually, up at Creech. So getting out of the uniform, but still working for the squadron.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I joined the military 2 weeks after graduation.
Okay.
I just knew I needed some discipline in my life.
Okay.
I had a lot of fun in high school.
Uh-oh.
And also, it was one of the only ways that I could see myself like developing a career very early.
Okay.
And again, that discipline, I was already at the colleges having a good time before. And I was like, if I show up here, I'm probably not going to make it to class. So we need to do something that's going to push my life forward a little bit. Thank goodness I was able to see that then. I still had a lot of fun in the military, but the best part about that is day one, your career starts, you know?
Yeah.
So even if you're still learning, you're still growing, you automatically already start your career. So that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made.
Outstanding. All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to chat a little bit about your transition out of service, because that is a huge topic, and it's something that we want to educate not only the service members who will eventually get to that point, but also their families, how you deal with it. It's a lot to undertake and to go on. Yeah. So how long prior to your official end date did you know, okay, here it is, this is when I'm transitioning out?
I've been looking at it for a couple of years now.
Okay.
But so when I transitioned from just career-wise in the military, when I went from being a sensor operator in combat, flying combat, and transitioned over to a first sergeant, which is more on the admin side, HR side, taking care of the people at the squadron. I loved it. That's what I wanted to do, to get out of the combat side of the house.
Okay.
But that also was extremely difficult. You know, you're dealing with everybody's problems constantly. That's the job. There's some wonderful things about it as well. But
okay.
And then once I had my own kids, that was when I was like, all right, I got to figure out a way that my priorities are shifting so that my main goal is to spend time with them.
Okay, so what is a sensory operator?
Oh, a sensor operator. So I've been a sensor operator since 2006. We work with the unmanned aerial vehicles, the drones, if you will.
Okay.
The drones. And I have been an instructor, evaluator, deployed, multiple locations, contractor, guard, reserve, active duty, all of the above.
So you blew things up.
Yeah. Yes.
You taught people how to blow things up.
Yes.
She's pretty badass, isn't she? Just saying.
Thank you. That's very generous. Yeah.
No, generous has nothing to do with that, honey. Own it and claim it.
Yeah. The
okay?
military gives you skills that you wouldn't get anywhere else. That's for sure.
That is absolutely for sure on it. And it's interesting because you talk about the dynamic of the different departments of where you're at or what you do and what you deal with. Like my father was in the Navy. He was in supply.
Yeah.
Was what he did.
Yeah.
But he was also he was one of the lead counselors for alcohol and drug addiction too, as part of what he did, which just, it amazes me the amount of knowledge that you can gather in your tenure with the military, that if you want to know, okay, we'll teach you how to do this or grow how to do that. So
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's kind of wild to think about it, that when I came in, my career field actually didn't exist at the time. It was not even an AFSC for the Air Force. We were actually intelligence. That was what our career was at the time, and they were building up this other AFSC, if you will. And when we came,
What is an AFC?
So it's just your career title. It's just what you do. If it's like sensor operator itself, there's all sorts of codes and acronyms and everything.
I know. I'm just trying to keep everybody in the loop. I'm helping you.
So in the Army, it's like an MOS. I don't know exactly what that acronym stands for, but it's basically just the title or what their career is. But I went to be the sensor operator back here in Las Vegas when I think I got here when I was 19. I was just turning 20, but I was in combat before the time I was 21.
Okay.
I was learning weapons and missions and close air support and reconnaissance at 19 years old. I couldn't even legally have a beer here in Las Vegas, but they're throwing me in a mission and having us fly combat. So that was pretty intense, I think, when I look back at it. But it also was perfect for that age time because I feel like to push somebody into that mission set, you kind of need room to grow.
Okay.
And you need a moldable mind, if you will. They want to mold those skills and they want to push you in a direction that is, for the mission. So.
Well, and I think too, at that age, this sounds bad. Sorry, guys, but you don't think stuff through.
You don't.
You just go, all right, cool. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And you never know where you're going to hit. One of the things I've talked about before, we talk about, making your brand, growing it, doing it. And we talk about when you're in the career world and you're searching the different careers, people move around. It happens. Sometimes it's because you were recruited out. Sometimes it's because this opportunity looked better than the other one. It's not a bad thing that people move around.
Yeah.
There's varied reasons as to why they do it. And the beautiful part about the military is they're kind of holding your hand and guiding you, helping you figure out the path that's going to be the best for you so that you get that education to go that way.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, the moldable portion and not thinking things through is probably the best way to put it, even though everybody might not like that phrase as much, especially young people. We think we know everything.
You do. You'll forget it. But you do.
I know. And because of that, I think when we get pushed into that type of mission set so young, it's easier for us to just think about it just as the badass, as the super cool thing that we're doing. Oh my gosh, we're going to be dropping munitions. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be in combat immediately.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and then you look back now, more mature, gone through more experience, being able to see like some of the mental health things that come along with that type of. I'm going to use the word burden, if you will, a little bit, or I guess that's. I don't like always using burden because I feel like it's more of a responsibility, I guess, which can also be a burden. But
I think burden is one of those misunderstood words.
Yes.
And I think that especially when we're talking about mental health, we're not talking about burden in a necessarily negative way.
Yeah.
It's just the way your mental health is affected that is considered like a burden. That doesn't mean it's bad. That doesn't necessarily mean. There are some aspects of the military, like you were saying, it got you stronger, it got you feeling powerful, it got you feeling good. That's the conversation sometimes we forget to have about it.
100%,
We want to take care of those who are having that struggle.
Yes.
And make sure we focus on the low, but we also want people to understand the phenomenal side of it.
Yeah.
One of my other guests, B. Taylor, he served in the Navy, and it got him connected. Like he played professional football. He's involved in the entertainment business. And it was all just from his time in the Navy that he ended up meeting those people and growing that way. And that is phenomenal that you can get that from that kind of career from where it goes, because you never know where it's going to take you.
100%. The connections itself. And I actually, writing my farewell, I hope I don't get emotional, but writing.
It's okay. You can.
Writing my kind of like short farewell email yesterday, was like, the big thing was I was like, you're the family I chose and thank you for choosing me, because it's very true. And then you're with these people through and through. So my husband and I we went to training together, military training together. Okay. That's where we met. We didn't get together. Well, we did, but not married then. And then another one of my friends that officiated our wedding, he actually was in military training with us as well. So
fun.
we this connection, we're tied together for life, and whether they like it or not. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. No, it's the thing I talked about all the time. The military community is so tight.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where I go. Someone finds out I am the daughter of a Navy veteran. All of a sudden, I have instant family.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what branch they served in, where it's at. It's just that tight knit
And
community about
the eclectic
Yeah.
vibes that you get from that, and the way you learn from each other, and kind of what you're talking about along that lines with the network and the way we've been able to reach people. There's no way in my life I probably would have been able to reach the amount of people, the type of experiences that I had without joining the military.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think, again, building myself experience on, I know before you guys had talked about program management, project management, but even just along the lines of how to translate combat to like normal life, or this is going to sound super nerdy, but I love myself a brief and a debrief of a situation. It's how we learn. Everybody does it. They just maybe don't put it in those terms.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But everybody does it. But now it's like a necessity within my life for me to be able to reflect and see things, you know, and how they went down and how I'm going to learn and how I'm going to grow moving forward. And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about as well, about reflection on when I first joined and the mission that they gave us, and how, you know, we're all gung ho. That's what they want. That's what they need. That's how we get the mission done. And then as we've gotten older, lives have changed, families.
Right.
It changes our perspective on kind of how the combat went into play and how it all like laid out. And now, again, don't want to use the term burden, but responsibility of all that as well, carried into the rest of life, knowing like what we were a part of, being proud of it, that balance. That balance is super tough, of being proud of your career as well as understanding the gravity of the things that you've been involved in.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, especially during transitioning out of the military, one kind of weighs heavier than the other, because you no longer have that every day I'm going in and have to accomplish that mission. So now it's kind of that weight of what you've done just sits there.
Yeah.
And it can be hard for sure.
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine. It's why I like to make sure we talk about stuff like mental health and et cetera, because it's so taboo, so doesn't get talked about. There are people who need to talk about it. We need to be okay talking about it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and because that's not going to, being quiet and just pushing it down isn't going to fix anything. So, you know, and it's okay. Like, okay, I hate emotions. Sorry, I hate them, but I have them.
I'll make up.
So-
I'll make up because I got tons of emotions for you.
Like when God made my sister and me, He gave her all the emotions. Bless her heart, she's so good. But it's one of those things that they happen. And what's surprising is, as you get older, you're more susceptible to them.
Yes. Yeah. I
There
cry
was no
so much.
memo on that stuff. Like no one said anything to me, and I'm just like, where's I don't know why.
Why is this commercial making me bawl? Like, I don't
To
understand.
this day,
it.
my dad always would have the best things, because I'd be talking to my dad and I'd be crying. I'm like, I don't know why I'm crying. And oh, baby, it's because you're a girl. And you can't help it. I know, but it's still irritating. I know, you know. But now stuff that triggers me is just ridiculous on it. So
I just watched Inside Out, Inside Out 2 today with my daughter, and I probably teared up 3 times watching that movie. And I was like, really? Really? What's going on right now? Like,
see, but then again, I say that, and then I'm like, I remember when they killed Bambi's mom.
oh gosh. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So you're going to transition out.
Yes.
What did you do to kind of prep for that?
So I kind of went, to be honest, it was really difficult for me. I was all over the place originally. I was really all over the place, because Angela prior to kids versus Angela now had very different aspirations and very different goals with where I wanted to place my level of influence.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I like to, when I talk about the military, I like to bring in that's, I don't think people talk about it enough, that's probably one of the values that everybody carries without even like recognizing it, is their level of influence on people, the world, whatever it is, just depending on what mission they were a part of. But for me, it was the last 2 years, because my son's only 1, that I went from, it's going to be project management, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do all these things. I want to work for a big company. I want to be running big programs. I want to help with aircraft. I want to still be in aviation. I wanted to start a nonprofit to help with mental health with veterans, along all these things. I'm still starting a nonprofit, which that's great, a little different, but it went from that to the influence that is really important to me now is making my children kind and accepting people. And it's just as important, but I have to constantly tell myself that going from I don't want this to sound like a boast, but with the type of combat that I was a part of, my level of influence was global. So going from something like that feels that way to it's okay that now my level of influence are these two humans in my home, right? It's quite a change.
I can understand that, but you do realize the way you are raising them, the way you are influencing them, the way you are helping them grow up to be kind, strong, intelligent individuals, they could do something that changes the world. So your influence would still have been global.
Yeah,
so
I hope so.
Don't put yourself in a box.
Yes.
Stop putting yourself in boxes, people.
Yeah, but to your question, though, so it went from, so I was getting my PMP, I was trying to find jobs, I was connecting, I was networking, I was throwing things out there. I've been a contractor as well for many, many years when I was going back and forth with the Guard and Reserve. So which contracted company am I going to work for? Am I going to go into a management side of the house? Am I going to go back to flying the line? All those things were going on, different job opportunities. And then, like I said, now it's just, I'm okay. It took me a little bit, but, everybody, the number one question is, so what are you going to do now?
Right.
What are you going to do now?
Right.
And it made me so nervous and anxious before when people would ask me, because I had to come to terms with the fact that I say, I'm going to get my MOM degree and I'm going to focus on that. And that's mom.
That's cute. I thought it was an acronym.
It is, I guess. No, I was like,
most outstanding mother.
oh, that's so awesome.
There we go.
No, I was like, I'm going to focus on my MOM degree. And then the nonprofit that we started back in January called Women Moving Mountains here in Las Vegas. And when my husband, he has a deployment that's actually coming up. So when he comes back from that, then we'll see where we're at. My son will be almost 2. My daughter will be almost 4. And we'll see what kind of freedom that opens up as they become more independent. But
absolutely. And change is always scary. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't care where you're coming from, where you're at. Change is always scary. And that's okay. And it's okay to have that in there. You just don't want to let it overwhelm you. You don't want to let the fear, a healthy amount of fear is okay in life, but you overcome and you keep striving, you keep doing. It's when we let it overtake us and stop us and hold us in place.
yes.
We were just talking about public speaking and how some people are very comfortable with it and some people freeze and don't know how to do it. And what happens is when you're going to speak or be in a podcast or something like that, your body naturally releases adrenaline. Okay. And your adrenaline can either go to your energy that you're presenting with, or you can let it go to panic. Mm-hmm. And then it's quicksand.
Yes.
And then it just can pull you down further and further and further, and you can get yourself to where you're constantly believing. So that is one of the big things that embrace a little bit that it's a little fearful, that it is new, and use that to help you figure out where to go and where to decide.
Absolutely. And I feel like everybody, because the military does push these plans and everything, and everybody should be thinking about all the different options, what brings you joy, how can you find that for yourself now. Mm-hmm. But the thought, and we all want the freedom.
Right.
Once we have the autonomy, it is scary.
Oh, yeah.
It is so scary.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, I don't have anyone to blame if this gets messed up now. It's not my leadership. It's not the Air Force's decision.
Right.
This is all me.
Yeah.
If I do start this business, and it is still on my mind, to do all these things eventually at some point. But that thought process is totally there. It's like, what if I do this? I waste all this time and energy and money, and then I fail. And who's holding me accountable? How do I hold myself accountable? Like, how does that work? Like, I don't have a checklist I have to do, or, all these were thoughts in my head.
Okay, so you need to understand those aren't just thoughts of people who are transitioning out of the military.
Yeah,
those
it's
are
just-
human being thoughts,
yes.
things that happen to everybody. Okay, I probably drive my poor husband insane because I have so much drive and so much ambition and so many ideas and so many things I'm trying to do and all this stuff, and he's just like, babe, breathe, like, okay, we can, because he has drive and ambition too, but he does it a little better at organizing how he lays it out. Like, well, okay, so he does the calendar in his phone, but like intense.
Yeah, I need
Like
his skills.
without me looking at it, I get stressed out. His calendar is like, there's like 4 things in every time block of what he has. And that makes him happy and it would make me hurt people. Okay. But in the same token, I'm sitting here and I'm going to do a podcast and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to hope this. And it's just because it's who I am. It's how I drive.
Yeah.
It's what feeds me to go to it.
So who's the badass then?
Who's the best? I think that depends on the category. We're pretty equal level badasses, I'd have to say. If you've ever met him, he is probably the best ever real estate broker I've ever met in my life. He's so calm. He doesn't panic in any situation.
That's awesome.
He's very level headed. If we're talking quick to temper, I win. So, if we're talking loud and likes being the center of attention. But I guess you guys knew that. But it's just how it. Like, he doesn't mind being the center of attention. He doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I thrive on it. I don't know. It's my happy place. But
I did want to ask you
Yes.
since about so your business with helping veterans transition. I guess it doesn't really happen very often because we're talking about how plans are usually made. But I think it happens more often than we know, is that people get to this point and they really are lost.
Yep.
So, but they don't know who to ask. Like,
Right.
how do I take my skills that I have learned from the military and how do I put that into the civilian world? So I wanted to ask you, I guess, how do you guys help with that? Or is that something anyone can come to you about? Because maybe I might need a consultation.
So
No,
we're
I'm just kidding.
talking about my corporate world job. And the corporate world that I work in is staffing.
Okay.
And so we assist with every aspect of what you need. We actually have a specialty hiring program that is focused on veterans, military spouses. We'll even place their kids. I mean, it's about servicing the military. And so we help with resume writing. We help with interview guidance because not everybody interviews regularly and they don't know. We'll tell you how to dress. Sometimes you don't know how to actually dress for it. If you want help in searching in a job, then it's something that they do. Okay. So there's several avenues, and there's quite a few staffing agencies that do offer that to them. The caution that I give to people is explore and look into it.
Yeah.
My company does not charge the candidate a fee. There are several staffing agencies that do not charge the candidate a fee. There are others that do.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure if you're paying someone for something, what you're getting out of it.
Yeah, that makes
and that's
total
just
sense.
a rule of thumb. I don't care who you are in life, always to be sure on that aspect. Yeah. But that's also part of the reason I started Homefront Harmony.
Yeah.
Was to start getting the resources out to the people who need them so they know where to go.
That's awesome.
There's groups like military spouses, maybe, I don't know how many know, but there's a program that the DoD has called Military Spouse Employment Partnership. Their whole thing is to help companies partner with them to say, yes, we're going to give military spouses a job. Yes, we understand the value you have. Yes, we understand what they do. With the DoD, you have the Skill Bridge program for those who are transitioning out of service, where within 6 months before you leave, you have the opportunity to internship and work with a company and see if this is where you want to go and have a life. So there's so many options out there.
Yeah.
It's just getting the word to the people who need to hear it so
100%.
they know, so they can find it, so they can get the answers to the questions.
Yeah, I definitely think the conversation is happening a lot more, at least what I've seen in the last couple of years. Because working as a first sergeant, I was also the resiliency integrator for the 926th, the reserve side of the house. And working with the agencies on base now, they focus so much more on mental health, resiliency, transitioning out of the military.
Yep.
We always need more, of course. It can always be improved.
Absolutely.
But watching from what I saw when I was a younger airman to like what's going on now, it's pretty incredible. So that's amazing program, and I thank you for running that and doing all that.
Oh yeah, no, we do what we do. It's ironic how life works. You know, you were talking about so many ideas, so many places to go. I've gone through so much and done so many different things in my life, and ending up where I am now probably wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
But it worked out, and I'm passionate about it, and I love it. And as it's grown and as it's evolved, it's been a fabulous train to be on it. And thankfully, I work for individuals who have encouraged that, and they encourage that with their employees. So that's been a nice thing to have with it.
It's really awesome.
But one of the biggest things I think that helps and is important is having people like you on this podcast, talking to people, mentoring them, helping them, letting them know it's okay that they're scared. It's okay that they don't have a plan. It's okay that stuff's going on. Everybody's not going to be Brian, okay?
Yeah.
I love me some Brian, but that boy is like, first we do this.
Yes.
And then we do this. And that's kind of how my husband does stuff too.
That's what you want in a JTech though, for sure.
There you go. Whereas I'm the one who's like, you know, it'd be fun. Let's start a podcast. Okay? Why the heck not? Let's talk to people in the military about stuff going on.
That sounds great.
Let's do it.
That sounds great.
Chop chop. So, but it's the way it goes. So I'm in the corporate world. And eventually intend to retire out of that.
Yeah.
Love doing this kind of stuff. This is why this was a great way to maybe be my segue to move out of it. I don't think a lot of people understand when they're transitioning out of military service in the civilian life, there are avenues and ways they can go where they can prep.
Yeah.
So that by the time they hit that date,
Absolutely.
they're on a smooth path.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's we talk about mental health. We talk about finding your passion. Understand, you might not make the right choice the first time. That's okay. You're not a bad person. It's okay. You're okay. Give it a try. Test it out. See where you go. Feel the water. Take a break if you need a break.
Yeah.
Breathe if you need to breathe. You know?
That's the flex, they always say the key to flexibility or key to air power is flexibility, right? But that's the key to life,
Oh, yeah.
That's the key to life is, and that's the more flexible you are, the more resilient you
Yeah.
are. So I think it's okay to fail. It's okay to try new things. And it's okay for you to explore your creativity, which I think is
Absolutely.
a big one. Especially for military members, we kind of get stifled in our creativity throughout our career. That's kind of where I want to find something that I have that outlet a little bit. But understanding that it is okay for you to try and then to change your mind if that's not servicing you or bringing you joy or doing what's best for your family. And fortunately for some, I'm retiring as a reservist, though, so I'm not going to be collecting right away my retirement, my pension. So, but for others that are, you for sure have some flexibility that you can work with. And then especially if you have VA benefits on top of that, like it gives you that room to be able to like explore the different sides of yourself that maybe you didn't get to see while you were in the military. Yeah, it's a great conversation that I'm having with a lot of my friends because we're all getting out around the same time, of course, because we all went in around the same time.
Right.
But and it's interesting to see where they fit or where they think they fit or where they want to try. And then there's some that it's hard for them to think about not flying combat or not being in the mission. Like they're like, I don't know myself. And honestly, I went through that on my last deployment. As I was coming home, I was like, who is Angela Bento?
Right.
If I'm not flying this mission, like, I don't know who I am. Like, I don't know what my purpose is. And this is before I was married or actually I was married at the time, but I didn't have kids yet. Still were not sure if we even were going to. And it was a very emotional last deployment. And it was one of those things that all my friends, of course, they're rallying around and they're like, if you follow your heart, Angela, you're going to love what you do. And I think that's going to bring you the most joy. And then that's going to be success in itself. You don't have to look at it as you have to have another 20-year career or you have to have, be involved in, like I was saying, this level of influence. It's more just what is going to bring you peace and what is going to spark that joy for you, and your family and your friends. So
it's very true. It's very much the case. We are the hardest on ourselves.
Yeah.
No one will pick you apart as well as you will pick yourself apart, and you will not give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Stop. Just stop. Okay.
That's what we were trained to do, though.
Make mistakes. We're all going to screw up. The key is you learn something from it and you move past it. When you get dwelling in that and you get stuck in that, that's when it starts falling apart for you on that, you know?
Yeah.
And you could be amazed. I have done stupid stuff in my life. Shocker. And you know what? I learned something from everything I did. And I don't regret any of those decisions because they made me who I am
100%.
today. And that was worth it. Now, at 3 o'clock in the morning when I wake up and my mind's racing and it brings back a memory from so many years ago of something stupid that I did, that's no fun. I'm just going to say. But, I still hold fast to where things go and how they lay out and how they play and what they are. And a lot of stuff, decisions I make, things I do, sometimes I don't even tell my husband about them until I'm sure that's what I want to do because I need to be in it. And then I'm going to pull my partner in to have the conversation about it. Because sometimes I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing does the spaghetti fit?
That's what I feel like I was doing the last 2 years.
Yeah. And you have to allow yourself that freedom to do that, to figure it out. And what I think is interesting is like we like to put stuff in boxes.
Yeah.
So we talk about creativity and people think, well, I don't paint and I don't act and I don't sing.
Yep.
So I'm not creative. Pardon me, bullshit. Okay? Creativity is not defined in just those little parameters there of what you go through. My sister makes custom handbags.
That's awesome.
She sews them.
That's so awesome.
Okay? I don't. I'm creative in other ways. This is just finding that passion, that niche, that little thing. And sometimes it's just the smallest of spark that triggers to send you down the road you need to go down. You know?
I think I have come to find out that, well, I'm a great woo girl. I'm a good.
Now you have to woo. Now you have to woo.
But woo. No.
There we go. Okay.
No, I've noticed that, especially with starting the nonprofit this year, like for Women Moving Mountains, a part of that is boosting other women and small businesses up in the local area. I think I get so much joy from being able to advocate for other people that are scared to advocate for themselves. Like, I think that is actually, I find creative ways to do that. And I know that probably originally wasn't my thought process when I was thinking creativity. I was thinking more along the lines of, a tactical skill. But I'm starting to come to terms with the fact that this really does, me being a champion for someone that has that in them, that creativity, but maybe is afraid to put it forward, that has become something that I'm kind of addicted to it.
It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love it. This stuff, this fighting for you guys to get the word out to the military community, to make sure people know, to have them. Good God, I'm living on a legacy.
Yeah.
And I love it to death. It makes my heart beat. It makes me breathe. Yeah. And it more than anything else ever has. Some stuff has been fun and it's been cool, and live theater is awesome. The first time you get a kind of reaction, a laugh or whatever.
That's got to be such a rush.
Yeah, and it's like got to be
such a rush.
And you want the next one, and you want the next one. But it didn't impact the way this impacts. Yeah. Because there are so many who won't speak. Well, I'm loud. Yep. I'll speak. Yeah. I got you. It's just so neat. Let's talk about that Women Moving Mountains. Oh. Tell me all about it. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. We were just talking about how we have to practice our elevator pitch more because we all just get so passionate about it that, it just comes out as, we just want to help. That's usually how it comes out.
Okay, but that was adorable. That was adorable. We just want to help.
We just want to help. You're wonderful. But really it's, we're here to empower women and provide some networking opportunities for mentorship and growth. And it sounds kind of vague, but we kind of want it that way. A lot of women's groups are very kind of pinpointed. They're very niched. And one of the things about women is we're so dynamic and we're constantly evolving and changing. And our bodies, our minds, our maturity, what is our creativity in the moment. So sometimes I don't fit just in that. I don't just fit into the mom group, or I don't just fit into the entrepreneur group, or I don't just fit here, but I want to have them all in my circle so that I can talk to the mom about what's going on at home, but then I can also talk to the woman that has an insanely successful business, because I want to take some of those skills and I want to put them in all aspects of my life, And then also there's some things like just emotional intelligence wise that when you connect with other women, the way that, and the way that you can inspire each other just by sharing and being vulnerable and transparent. So that's kind of the goal of Women Moving Mountains. We're raising funds to be able to give grants back to the community. We actually had a fundraising opportunity that just kind of like fell in our lap. It was never on the table, but we were doing some estate sales to bring in cash to Women Moving Mountains, and we're about to give out some big grants coming in November. Yes, we've got 2 entrepreneur grants that we're going to be giving out. Okay. So if anyone wants to apply, they just go to womenmovingmountains.com.
Okay.
And they can fill out the application. All the rules for the application are on there. We really would love as many as we can get, because we want to keep that bank as well of people that are looking for help and encouragement and mentorship and guidance. Yeah. And we also are trying to squash the feeling of competition between women, right? It's huge. And we talk about it at almost every single meeting, that they're like, well, I make candles, so I can't go there because she's making candles. No, you guys should talk to each other, because you probably have 2 different visions on how you want this to go. Mm-hmm. And guess what? This scent that she does, this is how she got to that. Okay, now let's share that information. Mm-hmm. Not to steal, but to learn, right? Mm-hmm. To learn from each other. Oh, well, I have this type of equipment that can etch this for you. Oh, I need that for my business. Okay, let's get together. Let's collaborate. Let's work together. Let's learn from each other's experiences. And all that's going to do is make us more and more and more successful, versus like being worried about, oh, I'm afraid that we're going to compete. And that's even with the nonprofit. Like I was so surprised, because there's a couple other great nonprofits for women in Las Vegas. And talking to them, sometimes they're like, well, I don't know if we should do the same event because I don't want to feel like we're competing. And I go, there should be no competition whatsoever, because someone is going to relate to me and not to you, and someone is going to relate to you and not to me. But we should be able to give them that much experience in the room and that many opportunities, so that we can help lift each other up. And that's Women Moving Mountains, I guess, in a nutshell. That's
awesome. That reminds me, I saw an interview with Pink.
Yes.
The other day, and they asked her what she thought about Madonna's face. And she said, "Are you serious?"
That's your question?
And they were like, well, yeah. She goes, "You're not asking me about everything that she's accomplished and done so that people like me can accomplish and do the things we're doing. You just want to know what her face looks like." And I was just like, that is so perfect. Because it gets very competitive.
It does.
And there's a healthy competition in certain things.
For sure.
That's not a fault, but we need to be able to find the difference between the healthy and the, stop it. Stop it.
And, I get so inspired every single time that we get together for Women Moving Mountains, whether it's just the founders, Maggie, Felicia, Nikki, and myself, or whether it is a group of random women that come to talk. And watching the connections happen organically, that definitely is what brings me joy right now, and seeing that a single mom, they're talking about a single stay-at-home mom, or we're sitting in a circle and they're all talking about their businesses and they're all talking about their entrepreneurship. And sometimes you can kind of see that sinking feeling like, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? And then we bring them into the conversation of like, this is the path that they're on. This is the path that you're on. But the skills that you bring to the table also, like, one of them that at that time, it was somebody that she is wonderful at meal prepping for her children and for herself and like for her household. And she's got that all lined up. And I was like, some of these other women are working so hard that sometimes they literally forget to eat, And I was like, so even talking to them about that skill set of being able to take an hour, at the beginning of the week to be able to do what you do, I was like, that's stuff to bring to the table. Like, it's reframing, it's relooking at things. And it's also just that emotional support of feeling like you're not alone. Loneliness, we talk about a lot too, because women will find themselves very lonely, especially talking about the different transitions in life, right? Going from being a young woman, I'm having lots of fun, I'm single, I'm ambitious, I'm
innuendos out the wazoo. Yes,
okay. It's all right, whatever you want to do. But I this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. But how do I get there to become this person without, having those? I can envision it, but it's so much easier to envision and feel like you can actually reach that goal when you have other women around you that you can actually look at for mentorship, which in the military was extremely difficult because there's not a lot of, there is way more now. I think when I got in, it was close to 12% of women in the Air Force, and now it's over 25, I think, something along those, don't quote me on those percentages, but.
We're quoting her.
Yeah.
We're going to quote her, and we're going to send it to people and have them check it. Yes, we are.
But, so it is definitely becoming more and more, but, this is kind of funny, and I hope this doesn't rub anyone the wrong way, but it's we had a women mentorship day, right,
Okay.
on the military side, because I'm also a part of the women's initiative team on the Air Force side, to change policy and procedure to help women's lives in the military. We got so many questions of like, why is it only a women's mentorship? Like, why do you have to have a specific women's mentorship? And I was like, because you can walk around all day long and you can find mentorship in every corner. I was like, male mentorship, which I've had some amazing, like some of the best in my life. I couldn't have been successful without them. So I'm not trying to say, that's not beneficial as well to your life, but there wasn't that commander or that, chief at the time. Now there is, Chief Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, she's another badass killing it.
Yeah.
But it's, now it's there, but she's one for how many, right?
Right.
Versus every single squadron has some sort of male mentor that they can look up to and be able to say, I want to become that person, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be a gender thing, but there are things that we go through and we struggle with that they don't, and vice versa.
I think in the end, when we talk about mentoring and where we go, we get too busy about categorizing, and separating and segmenting and doing everything so that we can be. Everybody needs mentors,
100%,
and you don't just need one. You need several, and then you can pay it forward and mentor somebody else. And it comes back to the competition, the whatever, pointing it out. And I have worked with amazing people. I have worked with other people that, it was all right to work with them. It wasn't a phenomenal mark in my life. It was just there kind of thing to it. But there have been people I have worked with who've encompassed my life and given me guidance and given me, the leadership and the tract and the in levels and ways that I couldn't do before. My boss, who passed a few years ago, he used to always say to me, he laughed, he goes, what's funny is you're an executive. You're the only one who doesn't see it.
Wow. Yeah.
I still don't quite see it. But I can wear the suits. So, it's you need that. You need to grow that, but you need to also share that and spread that. And we get so busy pointing out, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Versus, well, that's cool. You know what I'd like to do is I'd like to do something like this over here, because nobody's saying you can't
Yes.
do it, and open the horizons and see where it is and where it goes. Because the more we do that, the more we help everybody.
100%. Yeah.
And that's where we need to get at. We live in a very judgmental and negative world right now, where everyone's quick to have an opinion and have their hold of where their opinion is at. And we need to get back to the world where instead of judging, we're supporting.
Yeah.
Instead of, trying to separate, we're uniting back together and getting people to grow and be. When I grew up, I knew all my neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know 2 of my neighbors where I live now. And
My
it's
husband and I were
not
just
because they're
talking
not
about that.
outside. I just don't talk to them.
I know. My husband and I were just talking about that because we deployed so much that we weren't around, and now we're home a lot more. And I was like, we got to throw a block party. We got to get to know our neighbors.
Something.
We got to
Something.
because we want the community around our kids, that type of thing. And so for sure. Going back to the women in the military side of the house, but it was always something that was a struggle, which it's gotten so much better nowadays than it was back in the day, But,
I want her to do that again.
but before, and it does still happen. Like I'm watching it happen with my female friends that are now in leadership positions. But it's always like, how did they get there? What did they do to get that?
Yeah.
And I think you know what I'm trying to say. But it's like, why is that always on everybody's mind? Because she's a female leader, she couldn't have gotten there without doing something, right? And for the fact that it still happens, or that past life is brought up still.
Yeah.
When it wouldn't be, or it isn't often.
Right.
In the reverse, right, with men. Like that, like they don't talk about very often the commander, how he was when he was 18, running around,
Right.
doing all the things.
Right.
Like that doesn't
But
really
if
get
they
brought
find
up.
a picture of you,
But they even, I watch female commanders still go through it, and it's like, how are you comparing, that kid to who this person is now? That kid helped become this
Right.
person for sure.
Right.
But instead of admiring those aspects, it's always kind of put on as a downfall.
absolutely,
Or something along those lines.
absolutely. And I think that that's a key when you are transitioning out of the military life into the civilian life. There's aspects of the military life that are very clear of what you've accomplished, of what you've done, of how you've gotten where you needed to get.
Yeah.
And in the civilian life, they're just different.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that and being able to still have that pride in your work, to still
Yes.
have that drive in what you do, to say that's a very key part of what we do. It is very much a mental thought process on how to handle and how to go. And some people, man, they acclimate to it like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people are.
I like
the
a little-
little inside out character. She cries all the time.
Sadness.
God.
I just watched it today. That's fun.
Well, that's why I said
Yes.
you know the answer to
Yes,
that kind of that aspect to it. And okay, just because I don't like having emotions, even though I have them, doesn't mean you are a bad person if you have emotions. Embrace them, love them, run with them. My sister is an amazing human being. She has emotions. She's good with them. It's okay. Have them. Just remember that sometimes our mind plays with us.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And when you are in a little bit of a dark place, your mind's going to play. That's when you want to reach out to your mentors,
100%.
to your friends,
Yes.
to someone who
Yes.
can help bring you back into the light.
And that,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, Inside Out, talking about that, the self-worth and the self-identity. That's what the
Yep.
movie is all about. Is she's transitioning, to
It's
through
your
puberty.
brand.
Yes, and your self-identity is going to be questioned
Yep.
throughout your life
Yep.
in every phase.
Yep.
It could be every week, depending on what phase you're in, or it could be every couple of years, depending on what phase you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to happen, and it should, because if it doesn't, you're not going to grow.
Right.
You're going to stay stuck in the exact same place that you're at, and it's just not realistic. We all know the only constant thing in life is change. So learning to accept that and love that about yourself, I think, is huge as well.
Oh, yeah. And we do a lot of the pat on the back, smack upside the head compliments with people where we make a joke about them while we're complimenting them on
Yes.
something kind of thing, and it's like, it's so accepted and funny that that's what it is. Well, we might actually be hurting people, We might want to think about how we're phrasing that sentence in it, because it might be a little rough.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying, little thing to it. But yeah, it is a path that we take, and I think that the more joy we take in people celebrating victories of others, celebrating achievements of others, supporting them in
Yes.
that's what we need to start getting to roll out
Absolutely.
more now.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where, yeah, like I said, with Women Moving Mountains, that's definitely what we want to be. We want to be the cheerleader for, for all
I believe you said woo girl.
woo girl. I am a woo
Woo
girl.
girl.
But it's a labor of love. Any nonprofit, if anyone has ever been a part of one, it's definitely a labor of love. But I think the military aspect of it, and talking to spouses and talking to other military members and then talking to civilians and seeing, because you do kind of feel like as a military member, you feel like I am, that's your identity, right? So
Right.
thinking about, and it's always been talked about as you are military or you are civilian,
Yep.
like there's that separation, there's that category.
Yep.
Those are the boxes, right? So stepping out of that box feels like, oh man, I am a fish out of water right now. Like,
Yeah.
where am I
Yeah.
at? How do I fit into the community? Now that I don't have that uniform, that title, even just my cat card. I have been thinking about it. This is going to sound petty, but I've been thinking about the last couple months, how many times I've been noticing that I haven't in the years, how many times I actually use military or a military discount or getting on the Southwest flight or something along those lines, various things that I think, I don't want to say I took for granted,
Right.
but realizing that all that yesterday was like the last time any of that's going to happen. Was like, holy smokes. Like, I'm not going to be driving onto base every day. I'm not going to be
Well,
watching.
if you go to the commissary a lot, you
Yeah. There you go. My mom actually was
Saying.
like, can you please take me to the commissary before you
commissary
retire?
exchange. Yeah.
Mom, yeah, sure.
Yeah. 100%. I remember when I turned 21, I wasn't in college, so my military ID expired. And literally when I got that last military ID, the date on it said midnight. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. And I still have it. I still have that military ID. I love that sucker to death because I don't want to let it go. And I did for years. I made my parents take me with them to the commissary and exchange, and we'd do a whole trip. It was, oh, this is so fun. This is such a cool thing. Now we're kind of like, it's a drive. You know, like, oh.
But that part, what you're talking about as a kid too, it is crazy. I told my husband the other day, I go, my kids are never going to know me in uniform, which I love the fact that they're going to know me as, mom, not as airman. But also it's like, it's almost like a, that old athlete that wants to be like, I used to be a really cool athlete. It's like,
no,
it's almost like,
I will tell you this
Mom
much.
used to do this.
there is such a level of respect and love for the uniform with me. It's beyond. So when my father passed, I asked my mom for his dress whites, and I have them in a shadow box. My husband and I helped me put it together. It's not awesome. The best thing. It's got his ribbons. I've got his medals, and I've got it set up. Yeah. And then I have a sword in it that his father brought back from World War II, samurai sword, and I have one of his U.S. Army pins in it. Yeah. And we seal it, and one of my hairs got stuck in it. So my DNA's in there too. But it's like the coolest thing to me to have that. I talk to it all the time, but it's like the coolest thing to have up there is that, because I was so proud of his service on it. Yeah.
So. And like, I'm going to be excited to present them with like the little kid medals at the ceremony and everything, the kids medals, but like they're so young. They're not really gonna remember all of that.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah. I will see. It's funny though, because it's like, is that really important to me? Or is this just like, because I'm so scared of letting go of this identity, it's a fear, like that they won't know me that way, And it's always, I always want to represent and be that strong woman for them, and let them for sure see that you have all these different opportunities. I took this video once of my daughter in her tutu and her rain boots, and I'm walking in my combat, and I just like took a video of our feet walking together. And I'm like, I just want her to know that tutus and combat boots can totally go together,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will tell you this much, my friend. I will tell you that they will know who you are in your service, even though you're not in the uniform.
Oh, you might make me cry.
Because
speaking of emotions,
baby doll, it's still you.
Yeah.
It's still a part of you. And that pride is something that you don't walk away from and give up. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you come back. Okay. Because you and I are having fun chatting.
Yay. I would love that.
I can't do podcasts for 8 hours. So we're going to go ahead today. So for Women Moving Mountains.
Yes.
.com?
Yes. WomenMovingMountains.com.
WomenMovingMountains.com. Check them out. Yeah. See them. See what they're up to. Thank you for being here. We'll definitely have you back and talk about it some more. Thank you for your service. Yeah. Appreciate it greatly. Thank your husband for his service.
I will.
Appreciate that greatly. You just went from a hero to a hero on the home front, because that's what military spouses are in my book.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Outstanding job. Everybody, it's that time. Like, share, follow. Find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Homefront Harmony Pod. It was great to see you all. I can't wait to see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.